Hey, just a little disclaimer. If you haven't played Realm of the Mad God before or don't generally know what that game is about, some stuff in this video may not make sense. I'll try my best to explain it, but I highly recommend you go give it a try anyway. As a longtime fan of Realm of the Mad God, I was very excited when I found Darza's Dominion on Steam. Overall, it looks great, and I chose to ignore the reviews and to try it for myself. More on the reviews later. Darza's was started a long time before I played it, and it released at some point between early 2017 or late 2016. Realm of the Mad God has its very obvious shortcomings, and a game made specifically to fix those seemed right up my alley, especially after a long time of playing Realm. Darza's was originally made as a mobile version of Realm of the Mad God, but has since moved to a PC version with a mobile version in the works. Hopping into the game itself, I found little to no tutorial to guide me. Thankfully, the game is next to a carbon copy in terms of core features, so it's very easy to get the grasp of. Supposedly, they're also working on that in their next upcoming update. More on that in a minute. The game itself looks great, very polished, very fun time, feels very fluid to play. There's no issues in terms of specs. I was able to run it at 144 frames very consistently, with very little lag at any time. The game works almost identical to Realm of the Mad God in the sense that you pick a character with a unique ability and specific gear that it can equip. You then take this character into a realm called a Dominion in Darza's, and you then level the character up to level 20, upon which you receive your final stat block, which you may then do dungeons to improve until you maximize all your stats and achieve an 8 out of 8 character. The equipment for your character is based on a tiered system, with weapons and armor going up to tier 10, and abilities and accessories going up to tier 6. The highest tiers being dropped by Darza himself in his dimension. There's also untiered equipment, which is very rare and usually fills a niche that your normal tiered equipment can't get to. The dungeons you do go through are very fun and entertaining, and frankly quite terrifying the first time you go through because you don't know what you're doing yet, and over time you can definitely sense that you as a character not only get better, but you as a player, and I really like that in games like this. And the community within the game is also very kind. I've not met such a tight-knit community before surrounding a game. With only around 100 different unique players every day, I was able to start seeing some friendly faces that I recognized almost immediately. After just about 67 hours in this game, I would like to tell you whether or not you should play, the reasons for and against it, and tell you about the community surrounding the game. The first reason I would pick Darza's Dominion as opposed to Realm of the Mad God is the community. The community on Darza's is much more tight-knit and it's much less toxic, and it's very welcoming to the new players as far as the in-game community is concerned. I would like to make the distinction between the Discord community and the in-game community. The in-game community is very kind, it's very nice, very generous, and extremely welcoming. The Discord community is actually often the polar opposite. More on that later. And I know I've said more on that later several times. We'll get into it all, I promise. It's towards the end. Another reason I really like Darza's is the art. The art looks great. Something I've been asking for in Realm of the Mad God for years is outlines on projectiles, and that is something Darza's delivers on tenfold. It's very easy to tell when you are getting hit and when you aren't getting hit, even though the hitboxes are very generous in Darza's. Darza's definitely has a lot more charm to it and a lot more care taken into the art by the look of it, whereas Realm of the Mad God looks almost like you've been piecing on content from 2020 and up onto content from like 2016, which, to be fair, that is exactly what's happening, but graphical overhauls that are necessary for Realm of the Mad God aren't necessary when you're starting from the ground up like in Darza's. As far as UI goes, Realm of the Mad God definitely wins. The UI in Darza's is unfinished at best and flat out unusable at worst. The trading menus are mediocre and you can't access your backpacks easily without dropping items or first visiting a vault. Locking players doesn't work very well, guilds are flat out broken, and teleporting can leave clones behind, which is what you see in the lobby most of the time. As far as music goes, I know Realm of the Mad God have been trying to up their music game, and I'd say both do a very good job. I play with music off on both, so I can't really form an opinion on this, but I do enjoy both, so I'm going to give them both a solid A on that one. We're not really keeping track. But now let's get into the real meat of this. The developers for Darza's Dominion are far worse than the developers of Realm of the Mad God for the sole reason that they just don't care. The Darza's Dominion developers have been developing mobile for the past apparently 3 years now. That is why the community has dwindled as much as it has. It went from about 1,000 active players to no more than 100 a day, and that's at like peak time. I personally, after 70 hours of playtime, have never seen more than 30 people online at once, and that's at absolute peak. Remember those pins we put into thing? Yeah, we're gonna yank those out now. The Discord is unwelcoming at best and flat out crude at worst. While you will find members of the nice community in there, it is just generally a when's mobile coming out and then a prompt shut the fuck up from the developers. You'll find no help on any bugs or technical support questions that you need, despite them having channels for these sorts of things. That's actually how I was removed from the server. Apparently asking about a known bug gets your message deleted without any notification of such, so when you think it's probably just a bug and you send your message again, you get a week-long mute without any warning, which you obviously then go dispute to a subsequent one-day mute, and then you ask why you're muted at all and then get banned from the server without any warning or any action. The contempt that the dev team and the mod team have toward their players is actively palpable in the Steam reviews section, with them flat out telling players who disagree with certain changes to cope, get better, and do better when you're dodging. And in addition to this, they are incredibly secretive with anything they are actually working on with the game, and their supposed Trello to fix this problem has been in the works for a very long time, to say the least. And it's frankly quite sad because I do really enjoy Darza's Dominion. I think it could have massive potential, and it could even flat out kill Realm of the Mad God if it were to get the attention, care, and love that it needs. But unfortunately, the dev team is unable to provide that for you. All they are able to provide is broken promises, contempt, and some helpful dodging tips. In Realm of the Mad God, it's currently Month of the Mad God, so I can only suggest that you try Realm of the Mad God in the meantime. I'd stay clear of Darza's Dominion unless you know fully well what you're about to get into. And don't give the developers money, they're not going to do anything with it. And for any of you who are watching this and play on Realm of the Mad God private servers, send a couple down in the comments, because that's probably where I'm going to go when I need my next bullet hell MMO fix. In short, I like Darza's Dominion. It's got a lot of cool concepts, and overall, its goals were noble and great, but it fell short due to a lacking dev team, and a lack of care, and a lack of a mobile version. Thank you very much for watching. I've got a couple videos planned and on the back burner, so look out for those in the future, and if you don't want to miss them, make sure you subscribe. Thank you.